that's the most important part, is awareness. But in the meantime, if I can help people who are coming here, I'm delighted to. What's your name?
My name is Chris Brown.
Chris?
Yeah.
Hi, Chris. I'm nurse ed or Julia.
Okay.
One or the other or both.
Okay, right on.
Kind of in between both.
Right on.
So, Chris, do you have your ID? Do you have an ID and an ONMP card? And I will give you this nifty little cannabis prescription sheet that's completely legal, according to me.
According to you.
It absolutely authorizes you to receive medicine.
Doing good, you?
I'm the coordinator at the dispensary.
Oh, cool. I would love
look at
to
that.
talk with you sometime again.
Yeah, they make me wear this.
6, 8,
I'm going to do 6.
I usually cover stuff. I don't
430.
speak it.
7, 4.
My job is to cover them. It's not to be part of
My ride should be bringing some cards. So that
Awesome.
We have a website too.
Okay.
Coca-Cola.
Well, I take pictures for the newspaper. This guy over here across the street is the one that does the reporting.
Chris, there's
He's the
a
one.
van,
Exactly.
there's a private van down about a block and a half, right down there on Maxine, which is just like the first street down. Just show that to Brian, who's the maestro, and he will give you medicine. So he's the one.
Awesome.
He's the man.
Cool. Cool beans. We can do that later.
You can anytime you want. He's going to be here until about 3.
Okay.
So before 3 o'clock. And if he leaves, he could give me all of his medicine, and then we'll figure out a way to get it out. Because I'd prefer not to take any home. And I'm also just trying not to go to jail.
Amen. Me too.
So I think we've got, and then if we can do all of them, then I think we've got this nailed. So that's the purpose.
Awesome.
So thank you.
There's a couple more people coming. I think my daughter was here earlier, but she had to go to work at 1. So she was saying, hurry, hurry. I'm like, I am. My son is not there.
Already.
Yeah.
Well, Ed, I don't know if you remember me.
Yes.
Andy Cripe.
Andy, yeah,
I took
remember
the
you.
controversial photo.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
People were upset with your dress, I
Oh,
guess.
it looked like an old stoner. But yeah. Well,
You know, as long as people are talking about it, right?
That's it.
So have you met Bennett Hall?
Sure. I've known Bennett. Bennett has been here many times
Okay.
before. In fact, at this very spot
Intersection.
many years before. So.
Okay. Well, I'm here once again to get pictures, hopefully to redeem myself. I felt bad that
I mean, it
people
was
made
what
this
I
comment.
dressed in. I mean, if I had just put on something like a nice dress.
Or like what you're wearing today.
So, yeah.
Well, you know, it is.
Sizing
People are going to pick on, I mean, I don't know if you looked at our comments, people pick on stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they ever get out of the house. I think they just basically sit there and pick on what they see on Twitter.
But it does get the issue.
Right, people were talking about it. That's the important thing, right?
And they'll hopefully really talk more about this. Because I think we could be doing this about every 2 weeks. And I hope you guys have a chance to interview the folks up there.
Oh, I don't know what Bennett's planning. I guess we'll find out here.
I expect they're going to say, we don't have any policy against medical marijuana at all. That's probably what they're going to say. So when they say that, I hope you'll come back and answer to my response.
Well, he's the one that's going to be doing that. He's going to be doing pictures and No, I've been before, but not this year. This was a 101 boulevard. So, a little sad. We threw a little burning man withdrawal. No, I'll be back next year, so it just made my drive feel stronger.
Well, I'm going to stand around a little bit.
All right. Well, let me try to catch in the act.
Okay, yeah. I guess
All right.
at this point it's a public event. So.
Exactly.
So that's perfectly fine.
So, does your doctor work for Samaritan? And what's your doctor's name?
We got plenty of space here.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if you publish it.
This this is going to pick up a little
I am
bit.
considering doing additional stories on this issue. What would really help would be to be able to talk to Doc. I'm not going to out anybody.
Well, I can.
That's going to be a hard. Yours is really a good. That's good. I need people who write good posters.
Big letters, short words.
There's my take on it, Pete. See, there's not a doctor in the state, probably, who's going to come up with it, who's going to even complain. They're just not going to do it. It's impossible that a doctor is going to jeopardize their entire practice by complaining about an insane policy when the DEA could squish them like a bug. So that's why kind of patients are always on their own, and here we are on our own again. Although there are a lot of great doctors who I admire tremendously, they're never going to stick their heads up above the fray on this. So, but they should, I think. Would you be interested in talking a little bit to Pete here? He's doing Mercy TV, and if you're interested, maybe you could just describe that a little bit to Pete about the problems that you've seen. The issues.
Out here.
Yeah.
Out here bad.
So yeah, if you're Pete, maybe
What's your name, ma'am?
Nancy?
Nancy.
Okay, stand where Mr. Ed is.
Okay.
And, opinion about this? Speak, Nancy.
The pharmaceutical drugs that the doctors are inducing into us are killing us. I live in a complex. I've been there 4 years. I've watched 3 people OD on pharmaceutical medication. I do medical marijuana because it eases my pain. I have PTSD and I have depression. I also have anxiety. I use medical marijuana daily to keep me out here with the rest of you. Thank you.
Hi.
Okay.
I'm not sure that I need that right now. The patients I work with,
They showed on December.
Thank you, Ed.
Here, you guys have a bag or something I can want a copy? There's the media event information.
Thank you.
Oh, totally. I love these headlines. Great headlines. Boy, am I glad it's not raining.
Cannabis patient systematically excluded from Oregon medical schedule.
there's some people that are in so much
This
severe
guy's
pain
doing
all the
it.
time that there is no relief. In addition to relieving their stress and their muscle tension, they may need it. So I'm not here just for me. I'm here to.
Him and the
let's
camera guy,
recognize this is
that
medicine.
camera guy. That's
Such a
not
good
us.
thing. We've all been like that for years. And I will let my doctor know.
Yeah, please do. Ed and I have been talking about the story for a while.
We got hired.
Yeah. But, you know, it's...
So then their doctors are really helping out from the patients saying that. Then, I mean, really. There's no policy, then
And can I get your name?
I did send that to Krista last night.
Yeah, I saw it.
What is
So are
Mercy
you guys okay
TV?
if I can send this to y'all?
Y'all.
Or it's 3 of you.
Where's it going?
Now to the newspaper with this guy here.
Uh-huh.
Sure. I don't have a problem with it.
Alright, we want to ask, when I take pictures, my editor always wants to know who's in the picture. So, you guys be okay with it?
I don't have a problem with it.
You okay?
Yeah.
Alright.
What are you gonna do? You can't take nothing away from your car.
And are you focused strictly on
Well, I can take
cannabis
pictures before
issues?
it's good. Let's talk.
Okay.
Right.
Usually don't like to get the reporters. So have you guys had many honks, waves, anything like that?
No honks.
He's a reporter, but he's
You wave.
participating in the protest.
You wave.
Okay.
For snickety old grandmas and grandpas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know.
All right.
They don't understand.
Okay. And PK, what's your last name? Okay. I'm sorry, say that again. Oh. What's the last name? All right, and you're videotaping. Show some of this footage on your broadcast. And are you seeing this issue, the notion of hospitals and physician practices, medical clinics,
I was born and raised in
pressuring
Benton County, but I'm a
doctors not
County
to
girl.
treat marijuana patients?
Mamie, M-A-M-I-E,
You see that elsewhere around the state?
Hobbs, H-O-B-B-S.
Is that something you
I'm
guys have
from
looked
Albany
at?
also.
We've heard about
Amy and Nancy, I'm Andy.
the
Price,
doctors
this
in
is at times.
hospitals.
So if you do pick up the newspaper, sometimes you'll see my name in the photos.
I've seen that.
The other medicine,
Alright.
they will stop their pharmaceutical drugs.
So I did a story a couple summers
Which
ago
will help
about a place in Albany that will take medical marijuana and convert it
as
to...
well
The
as
Canna Kitchen.
Yes. I did a story when they were first opening up.
Is that because
Still
of
open.
the,
Yeah. Well, it was like a new business.
Yeah.
And I talked to her, and she said she checked with the police chief and the mayor before she even considered opening the business. And neither one of them had any So I thought that was
And she's still up and running.
yeah, she's got me on her email list.
Harry with
Something
Nancy?
new happened.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, 'cause they need more than just that out here. We need more than what we can offer.
Well, I thought it was interesting. She was a sergeant in the Air Force.
Really?
Yeah.
I went
So
to
I think she did 20 years there.
I went to the Pink Theater and she showed a movie down there
Oh, yeah?
at an open house and movie.
Do you remember the name of the movie?
It was a cancer,
Okay.
preventing cancer, and it was for OMMP card holders, and she was the one that was running it and stuff. It was kind of to promote her business because she had just opened up,
Right.
and then just let us watch the movie.
Was it a good movie?
It was interesting, yeah.
There was a little bit of a pause. It was interesting, yeah.
Well,
Wasn't quite what you were
it
expecting.
was. As far as good movie, no, it wasn't a good movie, but it was interesting.
Okay, it was an education.
Yeah,
Okay, there we go. I was just asking the wrong question.
yeah.
Life and death. The alternative.
Oh, and the hat?
I don't know cars anymore. They're all the same.
Oh, there is a hospital up there.
No, he just went up here and did it.
Oh. Ah, I see.
I think what it was.
Oh, there's no breeze for a moment. It's warm.
You didn't read the sign. He had to double back.
I got this thing over here to hold it so it won't blow away.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's see which is this.
But it's not based on that. It's not that someone takes is on opiates and they start taking cannabis and now they're taking more opiates, or there's a bad reaction between the two.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to sort out.
In point of fact, they're
medical
taking
marijuana
less
issue from
opiates.
overall.
Well, unfortunately, any cannabis use is abuse, so there isn't any, because of the federal stance, if you will, on cannabis as medicine. Not only is it not medicine, it's evil and dangerous. And so things that we don't do for things that actually kill people, they are doing for marijuana.
But you've been getting calls at the nursing center.
Right.
People.
Whose doctor has done this? Oh, we've been getting it for a year now.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're really glad that Ed is taking this opportunity to speak out. Because Ed's happening. It's a terrible, horrible thing to put these people through. Because basically we're saying you get pain. It's either, for taking pot, then that's what you get is pain.
So these patients are in a position where they feel like some combination of medical marijuana and painkillers is the best way for them to do it. So the doctors are telling them, you have to choose.
Yes.
That's what we're running into.
Yes.
And tell me what.
Well, I'd say it should be used in conjunction with it. First off, cannabis is safe. It's effective medicine. And in pretty much every single case we've had, it reduces their opiate use.
The ID, are you Ed? Julia, Ed Sloan? You do it live. And just
You can even wean them off it entirely.
okay, whatever you're doing. What? Okay.
And Europe, in fact, they're using it for withdrawal, for maintenance, for heroin. Even
So
methadone.
are people
Have you spoken to any doctors who are willing to speak out on this issue?
Okay.
No, it's tough enough to get docs to refer folks to us.
In general, how would you say Oregon doctors feel about prescribing marijuana? Like me and my other patients who are working with patients who are using marijuana as a form of overall, it's the attitude of Oregon doctors toward it.
It's been pretty tough. That's why there's folks that there's a specialist. These clinics set up, and we even have to get doctors to come in from out of state to do just that. Come and get their license. We do that because there is a great deal of fear among the doctors. But at the same time, these doctors who are afraid to sign themselves will still get all the records together for the patient and send the patient to us. Help them in that manner to get their cards.
So would you say that in general, the majority of Oregon physicians are willing to work with marijuana patients, but they're afraid to sign the card?
Yes. Especially since the DEA came into town about 6 months ago and got a list of all the doctors out of the
Okay, so they're not necessarily afraid of they're afraid of what would be losing their license.
Yeah. Right. The DEA license. just mess. I mean, it's like the thing that the Tea Party went through with the IRS. So I mean, they've established for a long time. You know, back in 1937, they really established it. The first year they came out, the cannabis is illegal. The American Medical Association was saying, "Hey, no, it's not. It's medicine." They went around and arrested like 3,000 doctors. Every doctor spoke out. Next year, AMA came out and did, backed it. They arrested 3 doctors that year. You know, so they established way back when their manner of controlling speech. And so yeah, they're still now to this day I'm concerned and always plagued with. We hear stories from doctors about them coming in and saying, "I used to make a statement. We've got some patients that take cannabis and not taking activities and stuff like that." But any formal action, I'd like to see these doctors get together and stand up to this. But I guess none of them wants to retire early and dedicate their life to that. Now, all the cases that we've heard, the folks are telling us very few doctors in private practice have signed pain management contracts and have put their patients through it. It's been mostly doctors that have with some clinical.
And from a doctor's perspective, what do you think the issue is with them requiring patients to sign one of these pain management contracts and choose between one?
Well, their contract should be ideally about the patient's health and well-being, and then next would we protect them from hopefully it would be a guideline to not making any wrong decisions and all that. But then I'm sure there's also the pure liability and then when the DEA comes in, that is pure politics. It still comes down to their licensing, their ability to make money, which they had to go to medical school and get all these other things to do. So it's understandable that there's a big investment there and not much margin for error.
So are you saying that you think it's large employers of physicians such as is that something that's coming down from hospitals or large?
Yeah, that's what we're. It's relayed to us. The doctors are telling their patients that, hey, it's these guys are really guiding it. It's not what I think about it. We get that more than doctors say, hey, I don't think cannabis is medicine. All the studies aren't in yet. Very, very, very few doctors are not educated as cannabis as safe, effective medicine. That's not really the issue. Much less in conjunction with opiates or anything else. Any there's all these really debilitating, really dangerous stuff. Well, in terms of addictiveness. Well, painkillers are right up there. There's a big one because that pain is just so real escapes. But stuff for seizure medications, that's some stuff that you don't really want to mess with. And there it's now there's a case where folks. We have to educate our people that don't stop taking your seizure medication because you're feeling better. Work with your doctor on that because the cannabis doesn't actually stop the seizures. It doesn't cure you of the seizures. So you should keep maintaining your seizure medication. We heard the same thing from cancer doctors. They were feeling better, so they stopped the cancer. No. If you're going to stay on your things, it works with it. It's not to replace it. It's not going to cure stuff though. But
so it's managing symptoms rather than curing disease.
Sure, yeah. And with PTSD, there was some really intense stuff that had some really effects on it. We should really open up cannabis for mental illnesses. So if we just got PTSD,
good talking to you.
Bennett, thank you for coming. Appreciate you.
Yeah, you got to talk with Mr. Hogan.
Oh yeah. Lake County doesn't.
Like I am, so I'm on disability.
Lake County doesn't. County doesn't have anything for anybody.
Yes, I have one too.
No, I've got it.
Yeah, well, just the key document is the newsletter from the BME.
Okay.
That they're essentially, well, they essentially wrote a weak and poorly written description of the use of cannabis for pain, and it's obvious that the professor, that the Dr. Eggener doesn't know anything at all about endocannabinoid therapeutics or about the synergistic action of cannabis that reduces opiates. They're apparently completely ignorant. And I've been hearing, for months now, I'm hearing patient after patient who don't know each other describing official meetings between the Board of Medical Examiners and their practitioners. So there's all kinds of meetings that have been going on apparently that are geared towards a policy that's probably going to show up one of these days that just simply says physicians can't co-administer those two drugs. And it defies logic, it doesn't make any sense, and it's utterly cruel because I meet people who need both of them all the time, and essentially it's putting patients in an awful vice. And the whole thing is reprehensible. And doctors are just not gonna stick their heads up on this. They're not gonna defend their patients. And there's a lot of doctors, they know exactly how valuable this is, but they're not gonna stick their necks out. And so it's like patients who really, again, have to carry the weight of this. And Samaritan Health Services is promoting this policy, and it's their physicians who are being told to do this. So that's why we're here. So we're having a little medication giveaway down the street. Hopefully we have another bunch of people show up because we've got all this medicine. Huh?
I ran into Brian.
Yeah, he's the medication distribution guy. You know Brian.
Have I met him before?
I don't know. I mean, you should know him.
Well, I ran into him on the sidewalk on my way over here.
Okay, yeah. But I guess what I'd like to know from the administrators up here is how are they justifying this policy? I mean, on what basis are they justifying this?
And Ed, how do you know that this policy exists at Samaritan Health Services?
I don't know that they have a policy. They're likely to say they don't have a policy on it at all. But what they have is a practice that's been going on for a long time. And just about every patient here, I don't know how many you've spoken with, but they're having these conversations with their physicians over and over, and it's the same pattern. They walk into the office, and there's no discussion about it. It's a forced choice. It totally ignores the needs of the patient, and essentially orders them to go one way or the other, and it's absolutely cruel, and it's happening all over. And one woman I talked to said there's posters all over her doctor's office that patients are going to have to choose one or the other.
Oh,
so
really?
it's a practice for Samaritan Health Services.
I need to see one of those posters. What offices are we talking about?
I think it was Paloma Family Medicine.
Okay. So that's a Corvallis clinic practice.
Yeah. But so the word is kind of out, and they're doing it, and they maybe don't have a policy, but they have a practice that's that they can't justify according to the intelligence and the knowledge and the research, and they certainly can't justify it with the ethical treatment of people who are suffering. They can't justify it. And I want to hear, how do they express that this is an acceptable policy for patients? And my letter, I've got my letter to Larry Mullins in here, which of course he didn't respond, and so that's why we're out here, because we're definitely not, cannabis patients are not part of this system, and the system owes them. And actually, cannabis patients are really wise patients, and the system, if it had any sense, would be respecting and including and forming an endocannabinoid therapeutics department in here.
So what you're hearing from patients is they're going to their doctor and they're being told you have to choose. You can use medical marijuana or you can use opiates, but you can't use both.
Yeah, and you have 60 days to give up your opiates, because pretty much every patient is on opiates. So they're given either, well, one patient said 90 days, and she said 60 of them, or 30 days is already over. So they're given this choice. They have a couple of months, 2 to 3 months, to decide one or the other, and
this is something I haven't heard about before. Is this a new development?
Yeah, well, it's new in the consistency of it. Yeah, it's pretty new. It's the last
This sort of
several
stark
months.
choice that's being forced on people. That's new.
That, as far as the opiates as an increasing practice, yeah, it's pretty new. I mean, there was always some of it happening, and I always was hearing patients complain about it. But now I'm hearing just about every opiate patient at Samaritan Health Services say the same thing, which is they're being told they have to choose. They have a limited time to do it, and it's a violation of the ethical principles of medicine to do that. Yeah. It's not justifiable.
Patients getting like something in writing that says you have to make a choice?
No, usually they're not.
Okay.
Usually they're told that they have to make a choice, and then they're not getting their pain contracts. I've asked several patients to get your pain contract from your doctor, and the doctors aren't giving the pain contract out, which is also a violation of the HIPAA guidelines about providing people with their records. So they're not even providing patients with the copies of their records, and they're not writing this down. So it's this verbal practice that's going on. And the patients don't get their records, and they don't have a doctor who's in direct terms saying this. And Dr. Gallant is one of the doctors. You might want to talk to Dr. Gallant and see what he says. And the other person is Dr. Wisensee, and I doubt if either of those guys are going to want to talk with you at all.
Well, Gallant's independent, right?
Well, he is, but he's still licensed. And he doesn't want to be, he's had enough controversy. He's not going to want to be in the paper.
He's kept a pretty low profile since that whole business about
But you might ask him off the record. If that's
off the record.
It isn't much help.
Off the record's a waste of my time.
Yeah, pretty much.
It doesn't get me anywhere.
So, well, my expectation is there's going to be a ruling. There's going to be just a policy guideline coming from the BME pretty soon, and they're going to just say this is the policy now. And I'll let you know when that happens, and I think it's coming. And what I'm also hearing is that the DEA and federal authorities are really involved in this, from patients whose doctors told them that it was the feds who essentially went up and had meetings with the BME. And I don't have any direct evidence other than consistent reports from patients who say kind of the same thing. So, I guess what's going to happen is the ruling, this policy rule is going to come down, and then, all these opiate patients are going to have to choose one or the other, and most of them are going to choose cannabis. Unless they're in agony all the time, they're going to choose cannabis, which in a way is a good thing, but doing it in such a harsh, cruel way is not a good thing, and that's the problem. Because it's perfectly fine to taper off opiates. It's perfectly good to minimize opiates, but to do it at the point of a sword or with threats and intimidation is not the way the medical system is supposed to operate. And the good part is thousands and thousands of patients are going to be off of opiates, which is going to save a lot of their lives. And I don't know, it's just upsetting.
All right, I'm going to go talk to a couple other people, but I want to leave you with this. Anything that refers to any of this stuff that's in writing, any sort of official document from a doctor's office or a medical practice or a hospital, would be a big help to me.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
So if you come across any of those, you could.
I keep asking. I'm going to keep asking. Even a camera, even a picture. Just because these.
Well,
I'll get it.
I walk into a doctor's office and look, the only family medicine is where I go anyway.
Yeah.
I haven't been in.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm trying to get pain contracts, but if doctors aren't providing this information to their patients.
And I wanted to ask you about pain contracts. Is that directly associated with this policy, or is that something for just sort of?
It's a general policy in relation that came about several years back when the high-dose opioids started being prescribed. Like about 10 years ago is when doctors started really ramping up opioids.
Okay, so there was an issue with people taking too much, and they were looking for ways to manage it.
Yeah.
Work with their patients on that.
Yeah. Just the number of pain patients who are addicts. All of these, just the fact that the medical system has made addicts out of tens of thousands of people in Oregon by overprescribing opiates to them. And now they're telling them, well, sorry, we made you an addict. We're going to force you to take drug tests punitively. We're going to monitor, we're going to clamp down on it, and then we're going to tell you have to choose to get off of cannabis if you want your opiates. The whole thing stinks, Bennett. It's inconsiderate in every way. And nobody denies that there's not a big problem with opiates, but blaming the patient for this isn't the way for the medical system to build trust relationships. And that's what they're doing, is they're essentially destroying. This hospital has a shitty reputation with about 3,000 OMMP patients who can't stand going into their doctor. And that's not very good for a medical system to be having its patients distrust and fear them. So, it's going to be worse, is my guess. Before it gets better, it's all going to come loose even more. And if you find a doctor who's willing to talk about it, good luck.
Yeah. Well, I'll give it a shot, and
that's all you can do. And the issue's going to go on. In fact, if I have to come out here every month and give away medicine, I don't mind. All I want is for Samaritan Health Services to start recognizing cannabis patients and recognizing the unique value. What they're actually is they're very valuable people, and they're treated like outcasts when really they're part of the answer to the problem of opiates. They're not the problem, they're the answer, which is every pain patient in this state ought to be trying cannabis before they even go on to opiates. But that's what this medical system needs to do, is start recognizing how valuable this is. And the crux of it is they're treating it like it's a drug of abuse from the 1970s. They haven't evolved at all. The system just still categorizes every cannabis patient as a drug abusing, lazy person, and that's not my experience.
And the medicine giveaway.
Yeah.
Is that part of the protest?
It's a support to patients.
Okay.
It is part, but it's a separate part.
So why are you doing that? And why are you doing it separately?
Because because I was told by the police I'd get arrested if I gave away medicine here in public view, that they'd arrest me.
Okay.
And so I'm sure they're right. I'm sure they would. Although I haven't seen any police around, so I'm not sure that at this point I couldn't have given away medicine. But access to medicine has always been a huge issue for patients, always. And to do this event and have people coming in at their expense and time who are not feeling very well, I thought I needed to do something for them. And so giving away medicine to them is a way I can thank them. And so that's kind of in a way what I'm doing, is thanking the patients who came here.
All right.
So,
Well, thanks. I'm going to talk to a couple other people and
totally.
check in with Andy over here.
Thank you. Thanks, Bennett.
You bet.
How's it going, PK?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I was hoping for a bigger crew, but this is good.
Sure.
Yeah, between 1 and 4, right? I get some quizzical looks when I hold up the sign from passersby. Like, what are they referring to? I do. I think it's ridiculous that they are making the patients choose between the narcotic painkillers and the cannabis, one or the other. And in my personal experience, a lot of the Samaritan doctors these days, as of the past few years, have cracked down really hard on even prescribing those. They won't prescribe any painkillers, like no matter how badly you need them. And whereas in other areas, in other states, they are still more likely to realize that somebody is suffering pain, at least give a short-term supply for a few days or what have you. So it's rather ironic. And those are the Schedule 2s. And I've actually had a lot of Samaritan people tell me that, well, we're not going to sign for you to get a card, but you go spend the money and go to a special clinic, and we approve of it, but we're not going to stick our necks out that far and do it personally, because they're afraid of losing their jobs or getting a reprimand or what have you. And yet they still won't prescribe the alternative in the first place.
Well, over the years I've heard that there's more pharmaceutical suicide this year than auto accidents. Nobody has been hurt by that.
Never, not one case in the history of the world has there been an OD from cannabis. But you're right, a lot of people, they accidentally OD or they deliberately commit suicide. Those pills are dangerous, granted, and yet they're the Schedule 2s.
We don't always get all that stuff.
And
Go
even
figure.
Over-the-counter medicine, they'll say at the end of the commercial, be careful.
Right. And let's not even get started on tobacco. I've had a little bit of a hard time quitting the cigarettes. I only started a few years ago, and there's been times I quit, and then I end up inevitably starting up again. It's prevalent. The little stores right just a few blocks away from where I live, and the FDA, I don't even listen to the FDA anymore, because that just is, they're peddling poison. What are the medicinal effects of tobacco? It lines the government's pockets. It's the American way from way back. Whatever, anything that they can come up with. It's the person's right to choose. Choose whether to smoke or drink or what have you. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. figure it shouldn't be too much longer when the state of Oregon is going to go the same way as Colorado and Washington. It seems like the federal government should just make up their way entirely, one way or the other. States' rights, or this is, I consider the cannabis movement the new pro-choice of this generation. You know, abortion rights way back when they started out the same way, state by state, and then they had the Roe versus Wade. Not that I'm a fan of that anyway, but I know a lot of people that express, you know, everybody should do what they want. You know, pro-choice this, pro-choice that. And then when it comes to cannabis, they suddenly freak out or like, oh, that's lowlife, or well, that's drug addiction, or against God's way, or whatever. Right. Sure.
Are you a medical marijuana patient?
I am.
Could I get your name?
My name is Katrina Hadland.
Katrina
K-A-T-R-I-N-A. Hadland. H-A-D-L-A-N-D. N-D. Hadland. Like I had land and I lost it.
Oh, D.
Hadland.
Okay.
H-A-D-L-A-N-D.
Got it. All right. And where do you live?
I live in Lebanon.
Okay.
I've been an Oregon resident for almost 15 years.
Okay. And why are you here today?
I'm here because there is this ongoing controversy between the Samaritan, and I understand a lot of the state of Oregon these days, from what doctors have told me, and therapists, that they're making the patients choose between the narcotics versus cannabis. And it's not a safe way to go. I have a friend who was very ill and they tried to do the same thing with him. I have found in my experience that these Samaritan doctors, and again almost the whole state of Oregon from what I've been told by the professionals, is they don't like to prescribe painkillers in the first place. Over the past few years they've cracked way down because they consider you either an addict waiting to happen, or, and unfortunately this does happen a lot, you'll go and sell your pills on the street. And because everybody's broke, right? That's not the way everybody operates. And even those people that choose to do that kind of junk have nothing to do with the cannabis issue.
And have you run into this issue with your doctor forcing you to choose between?
Actually, no. In my case, the issue was my Samaritan doctors told me they personally had no problem with me having cannabis, but they weren't going to prescribe it. They wanted me to go to an expensive private doctor that does that sort of thing. But I think this is very ironic because in my experience the past few years, the only time I was given oxycodone was when I had my molars pulled. I've lost 3 teeth due to countless years of too many psych meds that either went toxic or just failed to work. So,
and why did your Samaritan doctors refuse to sign a medical marijuana card?
well, I was told, they didn't tell me personally, but I was told by others that worked for Samaritan and the mental health people that knew how that worked and worked for the state, that they were afraid of sticking their necks out, basically. They don't want the liability. They don't want the liability, so I don't know what all their other reasons are, but that was the gist that I got.
What sort of liability do you mean?
I guess because it's such a hot potato, Schedule 1 narcotic, you know, FDA banned cannabis.
So what kind of blowback were they afraid of?
I don't know, you'd have to ask them personally. I cannot speak for them. This is all the information I've garnered.
All right, so
from
which
others.
Samaritan doctors refused to sign a card?
Well, I live in Lebanon, and I don't want to name his name because he's still my physician, but
I can't take this any farther if I can't talk to doctors who've been in this position.
well, you could go ask him, but I can't speak for him specifically.
Okay, so who is he so I can go ask him?
You're not going to print up that he's my doctor, etc.
No, I'm not interested in outing anybody. What I'm interested in doing is talking
Okay,
to
his name is Dr. Salisbury, and he practices at the Mid-Valley Medical Plaza in Lebanon. You're not going to say, oh, your patient Katrina says blah, blah, blah.
No, I'll probably say one of your patients told me this.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay.
You can go ahead and do that if you want, but he didn't tell me himself the reason he wouldn't sign the card, but I heard from my old mental health counselor, who I haven't seen in a long time, and they might put me back with her, they might not.
Yeah.
She told me the skinny on why a lot of these Samaritan doctors.
But now that you have a
wouldn't-
card, he's willing to work with you as a marijuana patient.
Well, I had a card the other year too. He has no problem with me being a cannabis patient. It's just he did not want to be the one to give me the permission.
Okay.
So I went and spent $175, and I'm on disability. I went and spent $175 at a clinic up in Salem, referred to me by the Mercy Center, and got my recommendation through her.
Now you're not talking about getting your card signed. You're talking about
The
basically
marijuana,
a prescription.
yeah, it's like a prescription. They call it a recommendation. Right, the doctor or the MD or the osteopath, they have to be the ones to sign.
And what's the name of the clinic in Salem?
Is it called Liberty Wellness Center? The one where Dr. Cynthia Cote, your patient, your clinic, is it Liberty Wellness Clinic? Or Liberty Wellness Center, I think it's called. It's maybe Perry would know. Dr. Cynthia Cote was the one that signed my recommendation. And I think it's called Liberty Wellness Center, or I could ask him.
It's a mall of many doctors.
Is what?
It's a mall of many doctors.
A mall of many doctors.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I can probably track her down. Yeah.
If you go on the Mercy Center website, they have links. And if you look in one of those Oregon Cannabis Connection newspapers that comes out every other month, the ad is in there for that clinic.
Okay. All right. And can I get your phone number in case I have some follow-up questions?
I'm sorry, I don't have a phone card right now.
Okay.
I am perpetually
All right. Well, tell you
low
what.
on
Let me.
funds. But I could
give
call
you my
you.
card.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll have any follow-up questions, but
Right.
it's an issue I'd like to be able to dig into a little deeper, time permitting.
Right, because it's so much hypocrisy, and it all starts with the feds. Federal hypocrisy starts up there with their, you can have all the tobacco and alcohol and really nasty over-the-counter and psych meds, and even these painkillers, if they're willing to prescribe, that's still Schedule 2. But don't you have any of the herb that's been used for how many thousands of years? Countless years, and benign. But here, have a cigarette.
And I should have asked you this earlier. What is it that you use marijuana for?
Severe chronic pain and nausea.
Okay. And where do those symptoms come from?
Oh, well, I have an untreated gallbladder. The state of Oregon refuses to pay for my gallbladder surgery, even though all the doctors and the surgeon were ready to remove it for the nasty symptoms, severe weight loss and nausea. And the state of Oregon said that we're not paying for it because it's not diseased far gone enough. Like if there was a duct that was blocked, a blockage, real emergency, and you got to have it taken out or you're going to severely crash and die, then we'll pay for the surgery. But if it's just a chronic thing, you can live with it, whatever, pat you on the head, send you home. The surgeon that was going to do it was mad. Apparently he sees a lot of patients where OHP won't cover because they say it's not severe enough, whatever their conditions are. So that's one of them, and then I have ovarian cysts. That's another one, and now I have menopause too. But you don't need to put specifics to you. But that's just a few of them, and the nausea. That's a byproduct of the gallbladder disease. That's a qualifying condition. It interferes with my appetite a lot. Again, probably related to the gallbladder. So. Inability to gain weight or have an appetite. I think they call that cachexia or anorexia. Well, it's whatever.
I've heard that term.
It helps patients hopefully put a few pounds back on.
All right.
Stimulate the appetite.
Well, thanks very much.
Is that okay? I hope I don't get busted.
see if you keep it, you stop
I know what you mean. Well, I don't use it at my home I'm happy to help out. You know what? I changed my mind. I'll be willing to live out of the stupid tent for a few. No more intimidation. Same thing with your doctor. Just say they won't prescribe or they won't. Change, times are changing. This says
anything you have to say for
Well, hopefully Ed and others covered it all. It's pretty basic. Good Samaritan has decided to take the course of other big business medical and force patients to choose between opiates and cannabis for medicine. And there's just no medical or scientific basis for that. It's a purely political thing. And worse, the people are going to suffer as a consequence. And that's not right. It's wrong is compounded by the fact that it's potentially financially motivated too. You know, as other folks have probably stated, cannabis use decreases your dependency on opioids. And so what we're finding is that people are using less. There isn't any problems except that are caused by authority and administrative. And so it stands to reason that whoever is supplying opiates is not going to be happy with a decrease in use. That there's a Big Pharma as well as the political power of the DEA. But the health of people's at stake. Nobody wants their loved one to go through this. They want the best medication for them. And if that's a cannabis opioid mix, then that's what they should have. Hopefully this will lead a prompting to ending the war in general. If we can at least get these patients, this class of patients, some attention and some relief, that'd be nice. It's a good thing Mercy TV is here helping with that. Thanks, Mercy TV. I don't know. You got that much time left on it? What time is it? Yeah, that's 2:15. Well, we got our duty. Came here, we got media. We have to stay for the whole 3 hours.
I don't want somebody opening for Alice paper that works for me. My house contract. No. Like I said, we just got it.
Thank you, Talk to your doctors about it. You want to say anything before I turn it off, Glenn?
Yes, good night.
Good night. God bless you all, every single one of you.